Marcus Rashford MBE provides Barcelona with their first win of the UCL campaign this season. And look, 2-1 win away at a tough ground, but performance-wise, it wasn't the most convincing thing. And a lot of what happened in that game ties into what I have to say about the game in my pre-match tactical preview. So if we actually start with the stats for this game, Barca had more possession. That's standard. Barca against a Premier League team will 999 times out of 1,000 have more possession. That is standard. Expected goals, Newcastle had a little bit more. Big chances, both two. Barca with almost double the shots. But look, the way the game started, Newcastle were on the front foot. They were pressing extremely, extremely, extremely high. Newcastle were pressing at like just an unbelievable level. Like Barca couldn't build up, and for example, starting somebody like Araujo, like I said, I'd rather have Christensen start because of the ability that he has in the ball. That didn't help Barcelona. Araujo starting did not help Barcelona to build up, especially with that press that Newcastle had. And I said before the game, this is the Premier League team, Newcastle, and the Premier League as a league in general is a very transition and pace and power based league where there isn't too much technical what would you call it? Mastery going on essentially. Master classes, mastery just in general. There isn't an elite, extremely, extremely high technical level. It's a lot of pace and power. It's a lot of transitions, running back and forth, and covering ground. That's what the Premier League is. But especially Newcastle, when it comes up to Newcastle, especially them, their height, the types of players, the profiles that they have, especially them. For them, they like making games physical, and the more chaos that ensues in a game, the more they like it, and the more it suits them. I said before the game, Barca, the more they control the ball, the more they control the tempo, the more possession they have with calmness, not just looking to directly attack on the transition or just on a counter or just look for goals with incisive passes in general, because that's what a Hansi Flick system does. Get the ball and just bomb up the pitch. That is not what was needed to beat this Newcastle team. It's unorthodox the way Barca needed to play, but did they play that way? Did Barca control the tempo? Now, there were moments where Barcelona actually played a bit unorthodox of Flick, where they weren't bombing up. There was like some serious periods of time of the game where they weren't bombing up and they were keeping control of the ball. And we can see that here, where there were some big moments where Barca were just attacking for a very long time, but they just couldn't find the goal. We see over here with this attacking momentum here. That's because Barca had the ball for long periods of time, and Newcastle's half. Newcastle will pin back, and like I say, that's unorthodox for Flick. Flick ball is just trampoline back and forth. But Barca actually had control at moments, and that's what helped them win this game. Because if they didn't have as much control as they did, which is it wasn't anything crazy or special, it was just moments that we don't usually see under Flick. If they had less than that, this could have ended poorly, and I wasn't happy with the attacks Newcastle were getting. Yes, the chances that they received are going to be expected and for this Barca team because it's a Hansi Flick system end of the day. But it wasn't the most convincing wins. I feel Barcelona should have, if they played the best way they can, they could have walked away with a big win here, like a 4-1, a 4-0. That's why I see Barca as a team potential-wise currently. And I know they're missing a lot of players, but what's important to note is that it was a play style. It was the moments where they didn't control the play, and there was the moments where there was a lot of chaos because there was many moments where there was a lot of chaos. The first half of the start of it, a lot of chaos. The start of the second half, a lot of chaos, and we see it over here. You see the second half. Newcastle started getting some serious momentum there, and that's when they could have scored. And having more XG than Barcelona is no joke. We go to the player performances. Johan Garcia is elite goalkeeper, bro. Johan Garcia is an elite goalkeeper, and it is just unbelievable how brave he is, how much how little fear he has when it comes to trying to save a shot, coming off his line, closing down attackers, closing down whoever has the ball to shoot, and just his reflexes are insane. We haven't seen this from a keeper in Barcelona in so long. Ter Stegen has never been this type of goalkeeper. Joan Garcia started this season, and in virtually every game, he's saved Barcelona from conceding one or two extra goals on top of what they've conceded. Like, it is unbelievable the way he saves shots. Yeah, he's been insane. Even on the ball, like in the build-up, he is so good on the ball. People talk about Ter Stegen's ball playing ability. His is great as well. So it's a very immense signing Barca have made, a very important signing, and finally, it's about time a new elite goalkeepers at Barcelona. Defensively, um, Araujo on the ball was very poor. On the ball, he was very poor. He made some very important blocks. Um, Kubarsi on the ball, he was pretty good. He wasn't insane. He made some mistakes on the ball, but overall on the ball, he was pretty good. And he made some very important tackles as well. Jared Martin with a very poor first half, but he was a bit better in the second half. You can't expect much from him because it's Jared Martin. It's not Balde. End of the day, Kunde, he made some very important blocks, but he just continuously was getting fried by the left wing of Newcastle. Whether it was Gordon there, whether it was Harvey Barnes there, he was getting fried, and then he ended up having to make the block. You know, a favorable scenario is just making the tackle and receiving the ball and trying to start his counterattack, but he would just have to end up making blocks because he would get fried. The blocks would go out for corners, and then it would be a corner for Newcastle, which is what you don't want, especially if you're Barcelona. But he did have the assist for Rashford. Midfield wise, let's start with De Jong. De Jong was, for his standards, he was actually pretty good. De Jong had a good game. He was good in terms of being involved in controlling the tempo. Obviously, Pedri's the main guy for that, but De Jong was good. He was winning some duels here and there. So he was a decent performance for his standards. It wasn't insane, but still good for De Jong standards, especially his standards in high intensity games. Pedri, Pedri, for normal footballer standards, had an insane game. You have Paul Scholes posting after the game. Pedri is my new favorite player. You have Newcastle fans, you have Premier League fans who don't really watch other leagues saying like Pedri's like they've never seen anything like it, except obviously Messi and whatever. But in the current era of the sport, they've never seen anything like Pedri. And for the normal standards of football, he had an elite game. Of course, for Pedri standards, he was still good, but he wasn't insane. He wasn't like the usual Pedri of insane quality. He was still good though, but look, he wasn't the most impactful necessarily on the goals, but 111 touches, 9 out of 12 ground duels won. Like, this is an elite level footballer. He is currently my favorite footballer on earth, more than Yamal, more than anybody else, of course, outside of Messi. But just an elite level footballer playing he just plays just so well. And you see it what he did in the last 7 minutes of added time at the end of the game. The way the way he just wouldn't lose the ball. Like, this is like, it's literally unbelievable. Like, you talk about people talk about goals, assists. No, football is one of the few, if not the only sport that's not done justice by stats and numbers. And you can see it when you see someone like Pedri doing what he does. Elite footballer, great performance, standard from him. Rafinha, I don't know how he got this rating. I think he was very poor. Rafinha was forced to has to dribble a lot, and he's not good at that. He's good at receiving. He's good at making runs and finishing and capitalizing on space. And he had to play on the right because Yamal was out there. He was forced to dribble a lot, and he just couldn't do much. He created a few chances, but other than that, very poor in some decision making. Very poor in some moments where Barca were looking to get a goal, but overall nothing special. Fermin, same as him, nothing special. Just didn't do much. It was just like he couldn't really help control the midfield because that's not his style of play, and just didn't do much in the attack. So it was just a nothing game from Fermin Lopez. It wasn't necessarily a liability, but nothing special. Marcus Rashford, he had a very poor first half. Very poor. He had one good chance, but other than that, very poor in terms of decision making in the ball, final decision making in actions. Very poor. But the two goals he got for Barcelona were elite. That first goal, elite level header. That reminds me of a Ronaldo header, like the Ronaldo versus Chelsea in the 2008 UCL final. Ronaldo versus Inter in the 2008 UCL semifinal. That's what it reminded me of. Great header from Rashford, and then the second goal was an elite strike. That's a typical Marcus Rashford strike. Marcus Rashford, when he's playing with confidence, that's standard from him. But overall, I guess we can say thank you for the goals because other than that, he wasn't that insane, to be fair. Only 2 out of 8 ground duels won, 0 out of 4 dribbles completed. He just had a lot of shots taken, and 2 of them ended up being very good. Lewandowski did what he can, but the center backs were on his ass the whole game. Couldn't really do that much because of that. I mean, didn't do much, but it wasn't really a liability. I think he was a better profile, and he does better than um than Ferran does up there. But just imagine this Barca team. I'll just leave this out here. Imagine this Barca team with a young elite level number 9. That's it. Subs wise, Ferran Torres, nothing special. Christensen did decent, but didn't have to really do much. Just was good in the build up. Eric Garcia, same, just was good in retaining the possession once Barca had to hold on to the lead. That Casado as well. I mean, he stopped the counterattack and he received a yellow card for it, but whatever. Dani Olmo came on and he looked much better, much more confident than he's been looking recently. And you can see he is better than Fermin at being involved in the midfield, controlling the game. He is much better at that. And if he can get back into form, not get injured, that will be GG. So Barca, end of the day, a 2-1 win away at a tough away ground in England. First England game for Barcelona in a few seasons, like I think. I don't even know how long. Um, but yeah, overall, good to get the 3 points. And if you look at the standings of the UCL, yeah, many teams won. 14 of the teams won their first game. Barca had a +1 goal difference. Of course, it was a tough away game, but overall, good job to get the 3 points. Not really convinced with the performance too much, but what can you say more than that? Very strong win. And let's see how they do on the weekend against whoever they play.